Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for Pilates All Levels. My name is Audra, and today we're going to use a ball and a TheraBand. If you're at home and you don't have a ball, that's okay. You can fold a pillow a couple times or always opt out of a prop. That goes for anything we do. You can opt out of an exercise, modify the exercise. Please listen to your body and honor where it is today. Great, let's get started. We're actually going to just start on our back, knees bent, feet flat, and we'll bring the ball in between our knees. And we're going to start with a little bit of breath work. So bring one hand to your sternum and one hand to your low ribs. And just inhale in through your nose. And exhale through your mouth. A few more. As you breathe, start to notice if your top hand is moving more than your bottom hand. And if it is, just invite it to relax. And just without force, see if you can allow the bottom hand to move a little bit more. Couple more breaths like this. On your next exhale, we're just going to find a little bit of ab work, a little bit of recruitment. So on your next exhale, think about hugging your hip bones together, drawing your ribs towards your belly button a little bit, and you can squeeze your prop. And see if you can just feel a little bit of work deep in your abdominals. Couple more. Exhale, think about the hip bones being pulled together, the ribs sliding towards each other, and relax. You can keep your hands right where they were, or you can move them to your hip bones. And just notice if your spine is trying to change shape, or if you're able to keep it in that neutral. Last one like this. On your next exhale, start by engaging your abs, and then we're rocking our hips into an imprint. So lower back lengthens towards the ground, hip bones pull towards your face, and then rock back to center. Couple more. And then rock back to center. Couple with ease, right? So yes, we're trying to get our abs to engage, but we also are trying to do this in a way that's kind of gentle, right? We don't want to like shove the spine down so much that our neck really has to change shape. Two more. Last one, hold your imprint. Now, pay attention to your feet. If they're pretty far out, you might have to slide them closer to you. And then deepen your imprint a little bit. Deepen your imprint a little bit more. And then press into your big toe mound so you can start to peel into your first bridge. First one never counts though, right? So we're just checking in, making sure that the weight, instead of being on our neck or us lifting from our armpits, is on our shoulder blades, making sure that our back is relaxed, and then we melt and roll all the way down until we come back to neutral. Couple more. Now, as we go through these ranges, if you notice tension on your knees, there are a couple things you can try. So one of them is get rid of the ball and move your feet wider and see if that decreases the tension on your knees. If that does, that could indicate your TFL is a little tight. If it doesn't, Walk your feet a little bit farther away from you and see if that decreases it. If that does, it could indicate that your quad is a little on the tighter side. 2 more. And roll down. Last one. Hold your bridge up. Now, just let one hip drop down a couple inches, press into that foot, lift it back. Other side. So we're just getting a little rotation here. It doesn't need to be huge. And if you notice that you're arching your back to get there, draw the ribs in, tuck your tailbone, and think about your sits bones widening. Couple more here. This should be gentle in your back. Your glutes should be working. Your abs should be starting to kick on. One more each side. Using your breath here. And then roll all the way down. Interlace your hands behind your head and spiral your elbows forward into your periphery. On your exhale, curl forward. And hold for a second. Looking in between your knees, bring your hands forward, push your fingertips into an imaginary surface, and then bring your hands back. Slowly lower down. Now, as you come up, think about your elbows and armpits helping lead the charge, but without pulling on your neck, right? Your neck is nice and heavy. And slowly lower. The ribs sink down, the collarbones come forward. Now, on the next 2, we're just trying to hit that high point, right? So if you can, think about the ribs sinking down in order to initiate that lift. Last one like this. Hold. Feel your shoulder blades underneath the mat and see where they are. So if you're on the flat portion of your shoulder blades, see if you can curl from your ribs so you're barely touching them to the ground. On your exhale, lift one off the mat a little bit by moving the ribs. Come back to center, other side. And just notice if one side has a different strategy. So for example, on one side, I can move from my ribs pretty easily. And on the other side, my shoulder wants to try to help. So if you have something similar, just be aware, use your breath. As we go back and forth with the hover, we can start rotating a little bit deeper. So hover and then rotate a little bit more, good. And then back to center, hover, rotate a little deeper, hold. If you need to bring your head down in between, that's great, that's fine. No problem, good. Good. One more each side. Don't be afraid to squeeze the ball, especially if your feet are pretty close together. We're getting that inner thigh activation. And then come all the way down. Go ahead, bring your legs to your tabletop, right? So if a 90-90 doesn't work for you, you can always bring your knees in. You can drop your feet down a little. Using the heel of your hand, push your hands into your knees. And think about those abs kicking on a little bit more. And as you press your knees into your hands, think of that initiating from your low ribs. Okay. And we're just going to hold this isometric contraction for a few seconds. Everybody feeling that delightful engagement? Yeah. Now you can take your arms overhead as you tap your knee or tap your toes to the ground, not tap your knees to the ground. That would be weird. And then exhale, bring it all together. press into the thighs again. And then keep everything nice and contained. Now, if taking both legs away from you at the same time doesn't feel right, do one at a time, right? If taking your arms all the way overhead doesn't feel right, you can do the opposite, right? So you can keep one hand pressing into the knee, and then you take the other hand, right? Two more. Using your breath here to try to help keep your hips and low back still, even though we're moving our limbs. Now you can either keep your legs at your tabletop or bring them back to the ground. We're coming into our chest lift. So we're going to curl forward, yeah, and then rotate to one side, press that hand into your opposite knee, and hold. And then come back to center, other side, and press. Now, if your feet are down, no problem. You might not be able to press as easily, so you could always use the ball to get that little bit of closeness between your hand and your leg. Okay, almost there. Good. One more each side. Nancy, you're not using your hand to press? You done with that? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, excitement. Good. Hands can come back down. Hug your knees towards your chest for a second. And we're going to bring the ball out from between our knees. We're going to slide the ball underneath our sacrum. So press your feet into the floor, lift it up, and just set your hips on the ball. Now, if the ball is on your low back here, it might be a little bit high. If it feels like it's going to shoot across the room, it might be a little bit low. Sink your ribs down a little towards the belly button, not so much closing towards the floor. So we want a relatively neutral. On your exhale, we're hugging the hip bones together like we already did. And then think about the fronts of your abs sinking so far down that you actually push into the ball a little bit from your abs. And then relax. Let's try it again. If as you do this, you start to feel your back, you might be arching. So we're not trying to bring ourselves into an anterior tilt or stick our butt out, but think of your sits bones like car headlights. You just want them to shine away from you. Keep them shining away as you gently press down. One more. Hold the press. Bring one leg to tabletop. Switch your feet midair. Now, if you need the added support of the floor, you can press down toe ball heel, and their hamstring is going to activate. It gives you a little bit more support. You could always barely tap the toe, but if you start to feel a lot of tension through the front of your thigh, push the foot down. If this feels good and you'd like to advance it, push the foot towards the opposite wall instead of the floor. And just notice if as you do this, maybe one side wobbles a little extra, maybe both sides are really stable, maybe you have some extra excitement. And of course, if you'd like more excitement because you're taking away stability, your fingertips can come towards the sky and your opposite arm and leg can move away from each other. If you feel popping or clicking in your hip, don't go into the range that feels bad, right? Maybe you keep your knee bent and you push the foot into the ground right? 2 more. Last one. Bring your legs back together. Squeeze your inner thighs together like you're trying to pop a balloon. And then you can take the legs away from you again. Hi. And then exhale, drag them back. Now, if this feels easy for you, you can always lift your feet towards the sky, push your legs away from you in a straight leg position, and then flex and bring it up. If your hips change shape here, or you feel discomfort in your back or your hips, don't go as far. Feel free to keep your knees bent. We have 3 and 2. Last one. Go ahead, bend your knees. Feet can come to the ground. Lift your hips off the prop and roll all the way down. We're taking a little break from abs, but don't worry, we'll bring them back. Go ahead, let your hands come up above you, then fingertips towards the sky. We're gonna curl forward and see if we can come upright. If you need assistance, it's fine. We're going to grab our band. So bring the band underneath your feet and roll back down. Now, if you need, bring your feet pretty close to you, and I'd like you to actually use your big toe mound to kind of trap the band a little bit. Now, even though we've got the band, we might not use it immediately. Okay, so if you have neck or shoulder issues, please try it without the band first. Okay, so we're gonna make little Barbie arms and just slide your elbows out to the side and then back down towards you. So as we do this, we're trying to find a little bit of deltoid activation. We're trying to let our neck relax. Feel your shoulder blades kind of drawing down and around. Now, if this feels good, and this is where you are today, fantastic, stick with that. If you're like, I'd like more tension, that's when you grab your band. Same thing, nice, strong wrists, sliding the elbows out. Hey, Heather, think about elbows moving to the side and the hands coming along for the ride. Yeah, so move, yeah. So the hands stay over the elbows and then the elbows sweep in towards your ribs. Yeah, like this, boop, boop, boop. Like you're doing a little chicken wing dance. Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah, good. Once again, we want the shoulder to be doing the work, not the neck. 2 more. Everybody doing okay? I'll take your silence any way I want. So I'm going to take it in the affirmative. All right, now slide the elbows out a bit. Keep them anchored to the ground. Exhale, rotating from your upper arm bone. We're coming into external rotation. And then let the hands come back. You could even go past neutral into a little internal, as long as that shoulder doesn't come up and forward. Exhale back. Slowly let it come at least to neutral. Once again, you can always do this without the band, right? We're trying to feel where the shoulder blades are. We have 4. Little bit of rotator cuff here. Of course, if it's too much, loosen your grip on the band, right? If that's still a bit much, do it without the band, okay? If the ribs start to pop and flare, gently draw them down. Good. We have 2 more. Nancy, go into more external rotation. So yeah, there you go. 2. Last one, hold. Now, once again, if this is getting to be a bit much, try it without the band first. Exhale, slide your arms overhead. And then we're going to snow angel our arms down. And then snow angel our arms back up. Letting the arm bone rotate in the socket. Right, so we're allowing ourselves to come into external rotation a little bit when the arms are overhead. Couple more here. Opening those armpits. We have 2. And last 1. Go ahead, bring the hands down. I'm trying to get fancy with this. We're going to slide our feet out, but try to keep the band and then cross the band. Good. Now, inhale, curl forward. Exhale, bend your biceps. Help yourself roll up. First one never counts, right? Yeah, we're just seeing where we are. Now, maybe you widen your feet. Yeah. And then we curl and roll. Good. We are going to be doing some roll-ups. So if you have a way of doing roll-ups that you are more successful or that feels better in general, that's what I'd like you to do. Yes. Yeah. Also, those of you behind me, I'm watching you in the mirror. You're all looking good. Yeah. Using your breath. Yeah. Good. So if you drive your heels down as opposed to letting them lift, you'll have more. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good. Nice job, you guys. Yeah, good. Use your breath. Yeah. So close. Yeah. And any extraneous props that are good for your body, go for it, right? Yeah. One more like this. And come all the way up. Yeah. Next time, exhale, and it'll be perfection. Now, you can either extend your legs out long or bend your knees. It's up to you. We are curling back a bit. So I'm going to be here because my hip flexors are just a little talkative today. Bend your elbows down and then back. Good. And then slowly bring them forward. Now, if you're like, that's easy. More tension, shoulders, elbows down, making sure head doesn't come forward, right? So if you need a prop, guess what we've got? We've got the ball. It can be there for moral support as well as physical support. Yeah. So retract your shoulders slightly less. I know that's weird. So let them come forward. Yeah. Now bring the elbows down more and then retract. Yeah. So it's like you're widening your collarbones, like you're taking off a jacket. Yeah. So a lot of times, let's just talk about this, you guys. A lot of times if we immediately send our elbow back, either that pec minor gets involved or we're really, really retracting. So we're trying to think about the elbow kind of pointing down to the ground. Good. So we can find our scapular retractors. Good. How are everybody's abs feeling here? So good? Yeah. Good. Relax your shoulders. Yeah, beautiful. Good. 2. Last one, hold. Now, flip your palms up and your thumbs are going to go out to the side a little bit. Yeah. Now, as we do this, if you're like, man, I need a break from the ab work. Hey, guess what? You can just come upright, right? Good. And try to keep the elbows relatively still. Good. Use your breath and you got it. Yeah, yeah. So a lot of times, if we're missing a little bit of shoulder external rotation, we either try to pull the elbows back or widen them to get there. Think about the upper arm bone doing the work. Yeah, good. I keep seeing these in my periphery and I'm like, what's happening? This is ridiculous, you guys. Yeah, yeah. Good. 2 more. Everybody doing all right? Nancy, okay? You got this? Well, you weren't in class last night. Good. Yeah. Yeah. And then come all the way back up. Nice job. We're going to move the band to the side for a second. And we should already have our ball near us. We're going to get a little bit of extension. So come to where your thoracic spine is about on the ball, hands behind your head, and just let yourself relax over the prop. And just notice what part of your spine is moving, right? Is it lower back? Is it mid back? Is it neck? And see if you can get everything to extend equally. And then on your exhale, sink your ribs into the ball to curl forward. Yeah. And then slowly lower back down. Now I like to support my head with my hands here. Yeah, yeah. Good. Couple more. Think of your hands like a hammock for your head, right? The abs are still what's moving. The hands are just there for support. 2 more. Last one. Now curl forward. If you're in a lot of hip flexion, slide your hips away from the ball. You can always get rid of the prop. We're going to bring both legs to tabletop. Yeah, squeezing your inner thighs together. Now reach your hands forward and we start pumping our arms. So this is a hundreds variation, which I personally think is really telling because I tend to want to bounce my ribs, right? If you need your feet on the floor, is that okay? Of course it is. If you're like, oh, I'm gonna sneak my feet a little bit away from me, fantastic. Good, nice strong hands, nice strong wrists, because they're connected to our torso. Yeah, laser beams at your hands. If we're accidentally doing this, it's kind of fun, but it's not as like, Two more breaths here. And then hands behind your head. You can tap your toes down. Exhale, curl forward. Maybe your legs lift. Yeah. And then extend, tap the toes down. Curl forward, maybe the legs lift. Now, if the legs are lifting from your back, however, that's not really what I would like to have happen. I'd like your ribs to sink down and then your legs lift because they're part of your core, right? So we're trying to make sure that the back isn't doing everybody's job, right? It's only doing its job. We have 2 more. Use your breath here. Really exhale to get the oxygen out of your lungs. Good, good. Last one like this. And now bring your knees as close to your elbows as you can get. And we tap 1 toe down. Yep. And then bring it up. Other side. Good. So if you can, I'd like your elbows and knees to push into each other. Yeah. Which is a little bit harder because you really have to curl forward. But I have little T-Rex arms. So I feel like if I can do it, there's a decent chance that you might be able to. If you can't though, use your hand instead, right? No problem. Yeah. Right? Everybody's body is different and it's going to be different every day. So if this is sometimes something you can do, but today it's not, no judgment, right? And then hug your knees in and then bring everything down, extend over your prop. Couple breaths here, really inflating into the fronts and sides of your abs. And then curl all the way up. We're going to use our band again. I know everybody's so excited. We can sit crisscross applesauce or you can be on your knees. It's up to you. I'm going to be on my knees for this one, just because I like the pull of the band better. So bring the band underneath one knee, or if you're crisscross applesauce, you might just bring it like underneath your thigh, okay? So we've already done that deltoid, shoulder blade draws down. Now we're rotating on a different angle, that's it. So we come into external rotation. Hold the isometric contraction. And if you are crisscross applesauce, you might have to kind of squeeze it with your knee pit and then slowly come back. Yeah, same thing we just did on the floor. Corinne, if you bring your elbows slightly more towards me, yeah, good. Then it'll be a little bit less like in the neck and shoulder. Does that feel a little bit better? Okay, good. I like how you two match today. Nobody called me to say it was black and white day, and then you two are matching. Man, come on. Yeah, actually, we all were coordinated today. I'm not mad about it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good. Couple more. Good. Last one. Nice job. Hold and just make sure that you're feeling your shoulder blade, not your neck. Good. And then all we're doing is bringing this forward. Yeah. Now, imagine that your elbow is on like a little counter and you might need more tension. We're just going to let it come in and then rotate it. Same thing, different position, right? Yeah. And maybe the hand underneath, I know it's very I Dream of Jeannie, but maybe that's going to give you a little bit of feedback. Yeah. Couple more. Melting the shoulder out of the ears, making sure the pec isn't gripping. Your neck doing okay? Okay. Last one. Beautiful, everybody. Yeah, and then we get to do the other side. But before we do, let's flip this palm up, take it behind us, look the other way. Yeah. Good. Just breathe. Yeah, other side. So since I'm already committed to crisscross applesauce, I guess this is where we're going, right? So allowing this part of our arm to help stabilize us, right? If our neck is already there, relax it out of the ears. Maybe the elbow has to come down more, right? So think about widening as if you're taking off a jacket, and then we rotate. Good. Bring your elbow a little bit more forward. Yep, there you go. Good, good. Nice. Think about the upper arm bone doing the rotating, and we hold this one for a second. You guys feel where everything is working. Good. And then back. And then, Stephanie, how's that feeling? Yeah, it looks good though. You can always just give yourself a little less tension and see if that feels more effective at that end range. Is that better? Yeah. Good. Nice strong wrists. Couple more. Well, look amazing. Rotator cuff city. Right? So important. Two more. Last one. And then just bring the elbow forward. So now, if it's reaching out of the arm, that could be one of the reasons the pec is already talking. So think about sliding the shoulder back. Yep, and maybe you have the little I Dream of Jeannie shelf, right? And then we rotate. And then we eccentrically decelerate. Yeah. Good. So it's the same thing, different range of motion, right? Which just changes the muscle work a little bit. Everybody still doing good? Good. Try not to grip with the armpit. This is the side where I kind of want to hunker down to get there. So if you notice that you're doing that, almost bend the opposite direction, yeah, until you can do it without gripping. We have two. Last one. Nice job. Take that hand out, flip the palm up, reach it, and look the other way. Good. Now go ahead, give yourself a little hug and rotate to one side. Just see where your body wants to go, and then rotate the other way. Good. You get one more each direction. And then, good. So now you can either keep the hug, bring your hands to your shoulders, or palms to the sky, rotate to one side, hold. Inhale. Exhale, see about maybe rotating a tiny bit deeper. And then come back to center, other side. Inhale, exhale, good. And then notice what your arms and shoulders are doing. So if they're both trying to retract, it's going to block you. So one of them has to retract, the other has to protract a little bit. Good. Yeah. One more each side. Good. Hands down. We're just going to roll the shoulders up, down, and back a couple times. And then ear to one shoulder, look down, take it to the other side, and then back. One more each direction. And we're coming on to all fours. Now, as we come on to all fours, notice if the squishy mat doesn't feel great on your wrists, you don't need to use it. So you can bring your hands about in line with your shoulders, maybe a tiny bit forward, and widen your knees a little bit. Bring your fingertips a little bit closer together. Now on your exhale, I want you to try to stabilize your spine and lift one hand. So we're doing a little kitty cat pause. And notice if one side, your knees feel equally weighted, and on the other side, there's a shift that wants to happen, right? Now, if you'd like more challenge, I'm going to give you more challenge, and it's super easy to find. So instead of knees wide, hands together, more challenge is hands wider, knees together, right? All of a sudden, one side, I'm still like, okay, no problem. And then on the other side, there's like a motor control issue where there's like an organization moment, right? So use your breath to help your nervous system know it's safe and okay, so it can easily stabilize. Good. One more each side. Good. Now, hands stay down. Just slide one foot out on the floor. And then slowly slide it back. And again. Few more. Huh? Yep, back and forth. Yeah. Good question. I was not specific. Yes, switch legs. Now, as you switch legs, if you're like, okay, this is easy, you can hover your foot, right? So it's more of a push away, like you're trying to reach your foot to the back wall, as opposed to coming up to the sky, right? It's in a way, like you're finding a shower curtain rod or tension rod from your foot, your leg, your glutes, your abs, out through the crown of your head. And of course, if you're like, okay, great, I want to add on, rotate your scapula so you're tucking it under and your hand comes along for the ride, right? So much like when we did these or these, we were trying to make sure this wasn't happening. So it's the same thing, it's just a different angle. Better, Nancy. Better. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Oh, the scapula is your shoulder blade. So it's right here. Yeah. No dumb questions. No, you're fine. Yeah. Yeah. So yes and no, because that's sort of where it all attaches, right? Because our collarbone, our arm bone, and our shoulder blade all attach at one, like, but yeah, it's the scapula is on the back. Yeah. Yeah. One more each side. Okay. Now, if you really want to make it exciting, we're going to do same side. And be aware that it's way more exciting, right? Yeah, all of a sudden. So what you got to start focusing on now is that glute, right? So the glute that's attached to the bent knee, you're activating it, that knee presses down and out, right? So that's helping. Yeah. Good. Good. That was maybe the most balanced I've ever seen anybody be, Corinne. Yeah. Yeah. Good. Yeah, it's exciting. Good. Last one, each side. Better, Stephanie. Yeah. Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah, one side I'm like, I can be here forever. The other one, not so much. Knees down, press yourselves into your rest position. Good. How did you guys feel about that? I didn't hear much, like, except from Nancy. Hands up and over to one side. Press your hips away. And then other side. And then we get to do a plank. I know, it's exciting. Yay! So let's go ahead and come into a knee plank first. So hands forward, squeeze your glutes, lift your ribs, lift your belly button, shift your weight forward, right? A lot of times we tend to want to sink, but we really want to push the floor away. Good. Good. Lifting even more, really pushing. Now, I'm gonna have to put my hands on my mat because I'm gonna push myself away. Now, if this feels good, you can take your hand to the opposite shoulder, right? So we're still trying to keep that nice center. Now, if your knees are together, it's just going to be harder. So knees apart gives you a more stable base of support. Yeah. Good. Lift your ribs a little bit more to the sky. Yeah. Much more stable. Do you feel the difference? Good. Yeah. It's cheating, but I'm not mad about it. Yeah. 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 Now, if you want, you can come into a full plank, but I recommend wider base of support. Oh, yeah. So you just keep going. Yeah, couple more. So cheating is just your body's strategy, right? One more. Knees down. Press yourselves into your rest position. Rolling out your wrist. Do you want to know what I think is super cool about our body cheating? I love it. Our nervous system corrects movement in real time. How amazing is that? We're going to grab our band, put it around our foot. So that means if you're in a weird position, or maybe you have tension or like weakness, your nervous system just strategizes and helps you figure out ways around it. So band around the foot, and then you can either hold on to it with this top hand or the bottom hand. And then if you are like, man, I don't want to use this band anymore, you don't have to. So widen through your sits bones, let your knee and foot lift, and then push into the band to reach the foot away. And then let the knee and thigh bone fold, resisting the band a little bit. Yeah. And then press and reach. So if you've ever done springboard or reformer, this is sort of similar in that it gives you a little bit of resistance on the way out and assistance on the way in, right? Good. Couple more. The tension of the band should help the thigh bone fold without the hip flexors having to do extra work, right? Two more. Good. Last one, hold it out, and then let the thigh bone fold as the foot comes forward. So now we're in a straight leg position. Drag it back as if you're dragging it through wet sand. And then let it fold forward and drag it back. Notice how if you're using the band, there might be different points of resistance that you feel that maybe you didn't before, with your leg being fully floating in the air, right? We have 3 and 2. Last one, hold it back. Now just tiny little circles, right? If you're like, oh man, the band is in the way, like bring the hand forward, it's fine. Switch hands, it's fine. 3, 2, and reverse your circle, letting the thigh bones stir freely in the socket. 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, bend the knee in, and we get to do the other side. So we're going to rotate, open the arm, let yourself rotate, hold for a second, come back. We're just going to do 2 more, and then we're going to roll to the other side. And then open, and then you can roll your whole body to the other side. Switch feet, switch hands. Now I'm going to turn around so I can still look at all of you. Good. Yeah, lovely, everybody. Good. And just find which hand works better. Lift your bottom ribs a little, and then push into that foot. Reach it so far away that that foot kind of guides the hip away from your face. And then slowly let the foot come in. Good. Now, the tension of the band will give you maybe more activation of the glute and hamstring, and maybe less activation of the hip flexor. Good. Couple more here. Hey, Nancy, that looks good. Keep your hip there. So now as you bend your knee, don't move the hip. Yeah, so it's almost like you're sticking your tail feathers out a little bit. Yeah. Or if you think of a squat, right? When you do a squat, you send your hips down towards your foot. So if you imagine doing that, your nervous system will kind of respond the same way. Now we get to hold it out, and then let that foot glide forward, and push the foot back and away. And just notice if it feels the same or different on this side. Good. Nice. Think about the heel being dragged back through wet sand from the glute. Good. Couple more. 2. Last one. Hold it back in tiny little circles, right? For 5 and 4, 3, 2, and then we reverse it. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, bring the leg in, and we get to rotate a couple times. So open your collarbones to the sky, and then bring it back. Couple more. And then we get to come all the way to standing. So however you need to is fine by me. All right. Now first, think about your feet really pushing into the floor. And just lift one heel, so the toes can be down just for a little support, and you can always, always, always then lift the foot. Now, we're gonna think about the hip bones. One is gonna draw up while the other sinks down, and then push into the ground to lift them back to center, right? So if we were just dropping the hip, that's kind of what that move is. We just don't want to like really stick the hip out, right? I know that's much cuter, but this is about gait pattern mechanics, right? So let this hip drop and then press into the floor, squeeze the glute. Good. Couple more. Good. Does everybody feel that side glute kicking on a little bit? Yeah. Good. Last one. Hold it. Now, just hold and freeze, whether that toe is down or up. Just notice what your body's strategy is, right? Maybe you're trying to hike the hip or you're trying to go up and over. Good. And then we can bring that foot forward and then slide it back. Yeah. And then bring it forward and slide it back. Everybody notice how this leg is starting to talk a little bit? Yeah. If you're like, no, I'm envious, mine is screaming too. Trying to find glute more than front pocket. Yeah. Last one, and then we get to do the other side. So go ahead, keep the toe down to start, and one hip lowers while the other hip lifts. Oh, this is my exciting side. And then you push down to squeeze and bring it back. Try to move the hips instead of the shoulders. Yeah, 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 good catch. So for starters, it's okay to pop the hip, right? Yeah, right, find it. Then be like, okay, now I'm gonna try to find that same kind of motion without it going bump, 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 right? Good. And then if you want, you can float. Can you tell I've watched too many musicals in my life? Because I'm like, this is good, yeah. If you spread your toes a little bit wider, that'll just give you a more stable basic support. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're also on a squishy surface, so you know, good. Couple more. Yeah, yeah. Good. And then we hold, just hold for a second, see what your body's strategy is, right? Maybe on this side, your body's trying to do something a little different to get like that easy balance, right? And that's okay, just be aware. And then we bring that foot forward and then drag it back. And then bring it forward and drag it back. Good. Couple more. Good. Yeah. Yeah. You guys all look amazing. I'm so excited. Last one. Nice. All right. Heel the toe for me, like you're on a tightrope. And now maybe this is where you are today, in which case, great. Heather, relax your face. Yeah, you got this. Yeah. Now, maybe you're like, okay, I want to add on. We're going to look up and we're going to look down. Maybe this is easy. Keep going, close your eyes. If you feel that kind of trembling in your foot and ankle, it's just called noise. It's your proprioceptors trying to figure out where they are in space. So that's all right. Just be aware, like, hey, this is just my body's response. It's not that I'm unbalanced. It's my proprioceptors doing their job. And if you need, you can like squeeze your hands a little bit. Anything you need to get your nervous system to feel a little bit safe, right? And then other side. So maybe this is going to be your easy side. Maybe it's going to be your exciting side. Either way, it's information. And we try again. Up and down. And then if, whoa, this is my exciting side. And then if you want, you can always try closing your eyes. And is your exciting side the side you expected it to be, right? Maybe yes, maybe no. You can do whatever your body needs to feel safe and secure, right? And 2. And 1. And come back. Now, all we're gonna do, I know I'll kick one heel up again, maybe lift the foot, We're just gonna wink one eye at a time. Okay. Do you accidentally make eye contact with someone? Be friendly, it's fine. Couple more. 3, 2, and switch. So keep the wink, blink. If you have trouble winking on one side, wink on the side you can. Use your hand on the other side, no problem. So 3, 2, 1. Bring your feet together, flip your palms to the sky, open your heart. And relax. You guys, give yourselves a round of applause. Very, very nice work today. Thank you so much for joining me.